Well, hello, this is Diane Dressback, and I have Kimberly with me today, and we are interviewing Shari Scott. And Shari is a chapter writer in the compilation book From Us for You, Inspiring Stories of Healing, Growth, and Transformation. Shari is a new friend for this book, and we were actually introduced by another new friend for this book that was Veronique Benoit, who was referred from another friend of mine that I had known. So one of the great things about this is being able to not only include authors that I have known, but also new people. So Shari, why don't you welcome, first of all, thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you. It's great to be here.
And perhaps you could just give us a quick introduction to who you are.
Sure. Well, my name is Shari Scott, like Diane said. I'm an inspiring author, I would say. It's something that I've considered and wanted to do for a really long time, and really didn't think I had much to say. So it's kept me silent for a while. And this opportunity just really was something I couldn't pass up. It just sounded remarkable. I'm a mother of four kids, two that are my own, two boys, and I have two stepkids as well. And me and my wife have been together we've been together 5 years, coming up on a 2-year marriage. I personally, I've been in leadership roles probably about 15 years now. And I love being a leader. I love unleashing new leaders' potential. So I work a lot with millennials that have never been in leadership roles before and are really looking to expand their knowledge in management and leadership and really honing in on those skills. So that's the work that I do today, and I absolutely love it.
One thing is that I know that you had expressed that opinion to me, that you hadn't really written and you were thinking about that, and you weren't quite sure. And I got your chapter. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just like a natural born writer. So,
You.
kudos on that. That's, I think you're well on your way. The other thing is the leadership side of things. I was also involved in leadership development for a company, and for many years taught leadership to the employees, and it is a very gratifying
It is,
thing to
yeah.
do. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yes. I love it when they discover really who they are, right? Like they think it's one thing and then they have some breakthrough moment where they're just like, wow, this is way cooler than I ever thought it could be, right? And they really see themselves in a new light. I love that.
Yep.
Basically what just happened to you with this book.
It really
Right.
Yeah, totally.
So it's
Validation for something that I always wanted to do. So it was really great getting that feedback.
Yes, so you had a sort of a role reversal, and I think that's amazing that you called yourself an aspiring author, and now you have to call yourself an author because you are no longer thinking about it. And I can't wait to read your chapter. So can you share with the audience just your short elevator pitch about your chapter to tug a little more interest in there?
Yeah, absolutely. So my chapter is really about my experiences growing up inside a sex trafficking ring. And I grew up inside of that. I spent, my entire childhood, in that environment and didn't have any memories of it. And then I gave birth to my first child and I didn't have a connection to him. And it led me down a path of questioning why that was. It was very painful. And to not have any context as to why that was happening for me was very painful. So it started me down a journey of self-discovery and really looking into my life and what it was really about and what it was really like. And, over a period of time and just getting the help that I needed, on the other side of that, I've discovered that I'm not just a collection of those experiences that I had, and that I am able to create my life and who I am outside of those experiences day to day. And so even when things come up now, it's okay, I can deal with that. I can look at that. I can feel that. And then I can move past that and create something new for myself that empowers me versus being a victim.
Yes, and I would venture to say writing one chapter is helping when you write many more. I know this happened for me when you talked about the memory loss. I had memory loss up until 4 years ago, writing my own book. And it's amazing how that memory will come out of nowhere. And you're like, oh my God, I completely shoved that so far down. So there's so much healing. With that healing, what advice would you give to your readers? Just the best advice for your particular chapter to help them with their own journey and their healing?
What really made the difference for me was being vulnerable and willing to share, like start talking about it. Finding a safe person to at least share one thing, right? And allow people to contribute to me. I grew up fiercely independent, and I had to, inside of my environment, be very independent and not ask for help. So the thing that I really learned was to be, vulnerable over time. Obviously, I had to be careful with that, but really doing that allowed me to go deeper, into my experiences, to have them come out, to connect to myself, and that's what I've done.
Do you see yourself as vulnerable today? I mean, so with writing the chapter there, I heard you say it's hard for you to ask for things because you were independent, and you do have to be that way. Do you still see yourself as that person, or do you think she's grown? And
I'm definitely still independent, but there's more interdependence than anything else, right? Like I've allowed an ebb and flow between me and other human beings, whereas before there was this block wall, right? And nothing was getting in or out. And I've put down those walls, right? And now it's just a flow between, me and others. So
and that's
yeah,
important, taking the wall down. It literally is just one brick at a time, and each brick is the issue or the unknown that you're learning about yourself. We put those bricks there to, you stay there and I'm going to be right here.
that's
But
right.
you're right, when the wall comes down, then it's just heart to heart connection.
That's right.
And with that, where you were then and where you are, what was the time frame between what you're talking about right now?
I've been healing for 25 years, right? Is when I really started. I think I had my very first memory when I was 26 years old. And so, it's definitely been a journey, but I would say, it didn't take me long to put down a brick or two, right? Which gave me access to putting down more bricks, which gave me access to putting down more bricks. So it's been that kind of process, right? And it's just been ongoing, and I've just never stopped. I believed at one point that there would be a ceiling to my happiness, right? Because of my past. And discovered that's just not true. There is no ceiling. I may have experienced more traumatic things than most people, but the impacts of that trauma are very similar to somebody who grew up in a very loving environment, right? Where they didn't have that kind of trauma. And so discovering that has allowed me to connect more fully with other people, right? Like I'm not separate from because of those experiences that I've had. We're all the same.
Yes, we're all wounded beings.
Yeah.
And I commend you for your bravery, because it does take a lot of courage to come out and just not be afraid anymore and to live and exist. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to move forward. So I commend you for that. And you've already made such a huge journey over that 25 years. If you added 5 more onto that, moment of where you are right now? What do you see for yourself?
Right now I'm currently establishing a foundation for women that have been sex trafficked. So my vision is to have safe havens across the United States and then eventually the world, where people can come and heal and get all of the resources that they need in order to create their lives, right? Outside of any experiences that they had. So I see that connecting the world and really changing the conversation around sex trafficking and sexual abuse altogether, to where it's not, just really bringing that darkness into the light, educating people and exposing it for what it is, but also bringing the world together more unified, right? So that everyone that has been impacted by any kind of sexual trauma is healed, right? Like that is my vision, that is my hope and goal. And so 5 years from now, you will see me in the middle of those conversations doing that work for sure.
That is beautiful. I can't wait to see that all happening.
One of the questions that we're asking all of the writers, authors, was it's always helpful to learn from failure, and so we wanted to ask if you had something in your past that you failed at, that you learned just a profound lesson, and if you could share that with us.
Oh yeah, I've had many failures. I would say the biggest and most impactful failures I've had has been I had 3 previous marriages. I got married when I was 20, and then again in my 30s, and then a little bit later. And none of those worked out. And I could never understand why. They were very different people. And, but I showed up the same. And what I discovered inside of that failure is that I was still very much protecting myself. I still had those walls up. They were maybe not as thick as they were before, and there maybe have been a few bricks missing, but I still was protecting myself and not allowing others to contribute to me. That was probably the biggest thing, and that fierce independence that I talked about got in the way a lot, and just didn't allow me to really connect or be with other people, be with their humanity, their weaknesses, right? I had very high expectations about how people should be, and my husband's in particular, and that just didn't work.
Yeah.
There came a point where I'm just like, this is just not working.
And it's good that you recognized that and called it for what it was, because it's, rather than staying in a situation that you were unhappy, that wasn't working probably. So
Yeah, and not blaming them for it. Like I really see myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. But sometimes what's missing in life today is that active responsibility. When there are 2 people together, you are both, it's not 50-50 relationship, it is 100%, 100%. And if one's giving and one's taking, and it doesn't switch roles, there's no fault. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It just is what it is. And
Great. Yeah.
That's where the blame game has to stop. I take full responsibility. If you took full responsibility, then it would be an even foregoing of, let's just move forward.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You seem so put together to me.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
And that is, while you were writing your chapter for the compilation book, was there something that you learned about yourself, besides learning that you're an excellent writer? Is there something personally that you took away from that maybe you discovered about yourself while you were writing?
Yes, definitely. I was actually surprised by the level of emotion that it invoked. Like I have known about these things, worked through these things, for a very long time, and just putting pen to paper and bringing them up again, I was very emotional about it, especially around the birth of my son. I remember that as I wrote those words, I remember that day so vividly. Like it was like I was back there, and that emotion that came up. So I guess what I learned was I have moved past a lot of things, and that I can still feel the impacts of those when I allow myself to do that, right? And go back there, but in more like an observer type role, where I'm observing the feelings and the thoughts and the actions that I took in that moment. Um, and then I just learned how grateful I am for my life today, right? And so grateful that I have a remarkable son who I adore and am so connected to now. And where we came from, it just, I never would have guessed that. Like it's been such a journey that I've been on for so long. It was nice to see the progress, I guess, that I've made.
I think a lot of people are going to resonate with your story and how you give hope, and because that was true for me too. Is you remember it triggers something inside of you, but you just look at it and you move quickly away from it.
Yeah.
In order to keep moving forward, and thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I'm looking forward to reading your book when you decide to write your own book.
I definitely will.
Yeah,
Me,
yeah,
me
definitely.
too.
Yes, yes. Can you just share a little bit about, I know that you're in the process of forming a nonprofit and you talked about that. What are you doing right now? What process are you at, or what status?
Yes. So right now, in fact, today, I just at 10 minutes before we had this interview, I was in a 4-hour branding event. So we're doing a 2-day branding workshop where I brought my board members and everybody to the table, and we're crafting our vision and our 5-year plan. And so as soon as we have that, we will do all the paperwork and form the nonprofit. And we already have investors lined up and land, the first land for Safe Haven up in Sedona. So we're very excited to establish that. And yeah, things are moving very, very, very quickly. So it's very exciting, a little scary. I've never been in the nonprofit world before. So it's definitely taking a team of people to bring this to fruition. But we're all committed to it and love what we're doing, and it just is so meaningful to us. So it'll all come together very quickly. So we'll pick our name tomorrow. Actually, we're in the process of doing that. So very exciting.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And you talk about a place that is a very healing environment. Sedona, Sedona is
Exactly.
definitely
Yeah,
it.
it was perfect.
Well, I'm so glad that you wrote the chapter that you did, and I thank you for being honest and and sharing that.
Yeah.
Because there's probably, and I think that your foundation, your nonprofit, will be great because when you were talking before, just by, like letting a little bit out and telling somebody about the situation is probably really, really, I mean, that is a first step. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm hoping that when people read your chapter, that they will be encouraged if they're in a similar situation, or even just a situation where they need to reach out for something else, that they take that step. I'm sure that'll be very encouraging for them. So thank you for being so vulnerable and upfront to share that information.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. And thank you for being here. And thank you guys for watching. And if you'd like to share the interview with others, that would be wonderful. If you're looking for more information on the book, you can go to FromUsForYou.com and get all the details there. So thank you all for being here, and make it a very hopeful day.